Hey everyone, I was in my shed the other day and I happened to find this. Yes, it's a big toolbox. And you know what's in it? All my wood carving tools. Let's check it out. I find a stone and take it home and polish it and hope it shines, and also there's a chicken. Okay, here are my wood carving tools. And for all of you who don't know, which is probably just about everybody, I used to do a lot of wood carving. My grandfather was a very good wood carver, and he taught my dad, and both of them taught me. And I used to do a lot of wood carving. Stuff, all kinds of stuff. And because I had some arthritis and problems with my hands, I sort of got out of it and hadn't done it for, literally years. So, the other day I was in the shed and I'm like, I'm getting this out because my hands are actually a lot better than they were. So I'm going to see what I can, let's open it up, see what's in there. Okay, so let's open it up. Woohoo! Okay, let's look at the top layer. Let me get this out of the way. We'll look at the top layer first. And see what we got. Wow. Boy, there's a lot of memories here. There's a fish I had started. And I think this was a design that my grandfather did a lot of. I don't think he might have designed this one. I mean, it's a profile of a fish. Duh. And I remember these guys. These are old classic hillbilly figures. And I'd obviously been working on him pretty good. This looks like it's pine. Yeah, it is. And let's see what all I have in here. That's my chainsaw file. That's where the bloody thing got to. Set this off to the side. Okay, we got sharpening stones. Oh, okay. Here's what you do. Here's what I did almost. Well, okay, let me break this down. Pap did almost all of his carving with an old-timer pocket knife. And this is my very first old-timer pocket knife. Right here. And now each one of these blades we'd use at a different time, for different things. As you can see, this one's glad the point's off of there. Glad this one's well used. This is a new one. And if I remember correctly, it's not quite as good as this one was. Because if you look on here, this one's, what's that say on there? Charade, something, blah, blah, blah. And this says charade too, but it's a different type of steel. I mean, I've had this one here I've had since I was 10. I was given this when I was 10 years old. And you can see the difference in the blade to this old one and the new one. And I started using this one, and as you can see, it's not even really been sharpened. Well, it's sharp, but it wasn't resharpened. Resharpened a whole lot, because I ended up just going back to this old girl here. Man, the memories. So we'll look closer at these here in a minute once we see what all else is in here. Yeah, there's the box for the new one. And apparently these are the two things I was working on last. This fish is made out of poplar. This is made out of white pine. Oh, and I remember I was making dolls. These were the arms. And I didn't need a whole lot it was pretty cool. I didn't need a whole lot of tools. Sandpaper. The funniest thing, Pap and Dad would spend like $50 back in the 70s for a piece of wood this thick. Which back in the 70s, $50 was expensive. but they would buy the cheapest, freaking worst looking sandpaper on the market. I don't know. And oh, I know why these golf tees are in here, because they're made out of a nice hardwood with the grain running this way. So, you know, if you had to make something to put in this guy's hand, you know, that made it perfect. Made it perfect piece of material right there. And dowel rods, etc. Oh yeah, and bamboo skewers. Okay, let's see what's in the other side. Or the other side, duh. The other part. Okay, here we go. Alright, here's the other part. Whoa! The lid got in the way. There we go. Okay, well, here's some more doll parts. I think this was going to be a leg. Oh, this old boy, I remember that knife. Wow, I'm serious. I have not opened this thing for literally ages. This knife I would use occasionally for just rough stuff. And boy, this old file. Now, I bought this new. Why? I don't remember, but I bought it. Okay, now we're getting into some good stuff. This, wow. This is a mallet. My grandpap bought this. This was his. So this, for just a piece of wood, this is very meaningful to me. You know, he did a lot of carving with this mallet. And these chisels, these were his chisels too. And I think they were supposed to be, I think, for a lathe, or could be used on a lathe, but they're for use with this mallet. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff he carved out with those. Oh, I love this. This is one of my designs. I made something similar to this before as an experiment, and then I cut this pattern out. And I think this is mahogany. I can't smell it anymore. It might be mahogany. No, it might be walnut. It's some kind of darker hardwood, but this is going to be a hummingbird. So the wings would come down here. If you picture a center line here and the hummingbird body there, and then the wings coming off. Ah, the memories. This was Pap's chisel, or not a chisel. This is a rasp. And I'm telling you what, this baby takes off the wood. This thing that was in the top part, this slips over the front, so you can hold on to it and do your raspy thingy. And before Harbor Freight, you could still buy junk chisels. And I think I picked this up for $1. And these are just like some type of hardened steel put into a dowel rod. And I'm telling you what, these things work really, really well. You know, you got different shapes in there. They're easy to sharpen up. They lose their edge fairly quick, but you can sharpen them right back up again without any problem. And we'll get to this here in a second. Oh, there's an atlatl pattern. I was into atlatls for quite a while. Still am, really. I made some nice atlatls out of that pattern. And what else we got in here? Some good sandpaper. Whew, there was one of my designs. That was a trout I made. And we just got some general tools in here. There's some bamboo skewers, you know, to make stuff to put in the hands of critters like this, or to use to go through as hinge pins for these doll arms. Okay, enough of that. Yeah, some sandpaper. Oh, and this was going to be a shovel to go on a pack mule that old mountain man type thingy was going to be used with. And what else we got in here? Oh, there was the jug. Moonshine! And here's some of the sandpaper I picked up, which was, you know, grade A stuff. I didn't go cheap on the sandpaper. But here, let me get the brush of destiny. Clean that off a little bit. Tell you what, let's put this stuff back in for a minute, and we'll get to this. Get this out of the way. This was also, wow, dirty. Some expensive hand chisels that were my grandpap's too. And man, they need cleaned. Wow. These were made by Brookstone. And these are really good. These are really good chisels. You can hold them in there and do the chisely thing. It's like, let me see here. Here, Mr. Fish. No, you can actually, yeah, they definitely do need sharpened. You can see that you can take off just a little bit, get into these curvy spots. Carve like that. You know, and it's great. These things are great. They'll be even more great if I can get the rust off of them. And this one, these two, this one and this one, these two bevels, I think I use them most of all. And then these two, they were flat. Well, they are flat. And, you know, I didn't really use this V chisel too much. I didn't have much of a use for it. But anyway, this is what's in my wood carving toolbox. And I had an idea the other day. I'm going to find something, make a pattern or whatever, and carve out something made out of wood, and then cut two nice stones to put in there for eyes. But I'm not exactly sure what to carve out yet. I mean, we had all kinds of patterns from different people that did carving, and some that we made ourselves. And I was thinking maybe an owl would be the best thing, because we could make the owl and the big bright big round eyes would be great for making a nice cab to set in there. So let me see if I can find a pattern for an owl. I'll be right back. All right, well, I couldn't find an owl pattern, but you know what? We'll just make one for ourselves. The next generation, the second next generation, will make his own patterns, which I did anyway. But now I got to find a piece of paper. Hold on. Hey, I'm back. I went to look for paper, and I came across this. This is Pap and Dad's box of stuff that didn't work out. And I thought, okay, I got to show you. I mean, not everything you carve works out, or you get tired of something and you just got to put it back, and then you chuck it into the box of stuff that doesn't work out. Dun, da, 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 da. And that's what you got. Well, that's what we got here. So, right on the top, this is a mule, and this was to go with, oh, hold on a minute. This is to go with this guy. So he would be hanging out with his mule and all his stuff that his mule would have on it. And this, this looks more like, yeah, this is Pap's stuff. This is something that Pap, oh, let me see, nope, didn't sign it. This looks something like, actually, this looks like something Dad would have carved. And something breaks off like this, and that's when the swearing commences, and you don't want to throw it away completely, and you just chuck it back in the box. But there you go. This is what this would have been. He'd have been on a platform with this guy and a whole bunch of stuff on him. So put this guy back. And, oh yeah, here's a decoy duck. Before Pap died, he got into decoy ducks really, really heavy. And this might have been just a experiment, because I can't imagine why you would put a knot at the end of the beak like that, unless he didn't see it in the wood when he cut it out. But that's what that is. And these figurines like this, if you're carving something, you would get some of these junk figurines at the junk store and not use them as a pattern, but use them to look at for reference. Now, remember, my grandpap and my dad, when they were wood carving, this was way before the internet. I mean, way before the internet. I mean, we didn't have cell phones back then. Payphones were everywhere. I mean, automatic transmissions in cars were not reliable at that time. So they couldn't just pop on the internet and find a reference photo. Well, here's a nice piece. This is a piece, probably one of those pieces that they paid $50-some for. See, the end here is waxed heavily. So they would buy this wood. You had to order it out of a catalog, and it came by the mail. You know, and it took weeks for it to get here. No such thing as Amazon back then, 2-day delivery. Here's another one that legs broke off. That's one of the most common things that happens. The legs break. Because you have to run the grain different directions, and sometimes it just don't work out too well. And here's a moo cow with a broken leg. You seeing a pattern here? Mule, broken leg. Horsey, broken leg. Moo cow, broken leg. Duck. Bad bills. Whatever. So let's get rid of, what in the world is that? Oh my gosh! Those are, okay, people, if I seem a little emotional, I am, because these are duck eyes. Okay? For any of you who don't know, I am a professional taxidermist before I started doing YouTube stuff and cutting stones. And I recognize these are duck eyes, or what they would use for, where did that go? Oh, these are what they would use for decoys. Okay, I recognize these are taxidermy duck eyes. That they would, just your standard old eyes. And this was something that my grandpap got to do his decoys with. And probably from Reinhardt's taxidermy, I would imagine. This is going in my room on my nightstand in a special place, because this was my grandpap's. Definitely my grandpap's. Dad never got into carving decoy ducks, so this is, yep, this is Pap. All these years, he's still around. Okay, here we go. I'll get rid of some of these. Woo! Boy, these figures are old. Apparently one of them was going to do some Western carvings. So set these off to the side. Okay, now we're getting into some decent stuff here. Okay, I'm going to be emotional again. My grandpap did, apart from doing wood carving, he did leather work. And this is a belt, and that's my dad's name. So Pap probably made this belt for him when he was just a little kid. And it got stuck in this box somehow. I'm going to have to show that to Dad. He's going to be teary-eyed over that, because I sort of am. Okay. Get rid of Cochise here. Okay, now we're getting, this is kind of nice, because I can show you some of the stuff that we practiced and started with. These geese right here. Okay, see, is there any more geeses? Geeses? This style right here. Hey, I promise we're going to get to some stones to put in an eye of something here, but I thought I'd just go over this because this is pretty interesting stuff. This pattern of geese, this style of goose, was made, or is a pattern from the great Native American woodcarver Amanda Crowe. And you could buy little pre-cut blanks, very similar to this, in a little plastic bag with handwritten instructions on how to carve these. Okay? And we actually have some of these here somewhere. I'll see if I can dig them out. But she was from... Amanda Crowe lived on the Cherokee Indian Reservation down in Tennessee. And she put these things out and sold them on the reservation at different stores and in a lot of the woodcarving magazines. And I think that's how Pap got started doing these carvings. Somebody wants me. And here's a story behind this. Okay, this was back, I was about 3 years old. Between 3 and 5 years old. And Pap and Dad were doing the wood carving. And we used to go on trips all the time. I mean, if they got off on a Friday, it was road trip weekend. And we would go somewhere. And the one day they decided they were going to go down to the Cherokee Indian Reservation in Tennessee. I mean, the whole family packed up. I mean, it was me and Dad and Mom and my grandpap and my grandmother on Dad's side. And my Mom's side of the family would do the same thing. All of us, like 10 of us would just, we'd go somewhere. You say, we're going to go and we're going to go. And we would go. So we drove down to the Cherokee Reservation in Tennessee. And while they were down there, somebody said, why don't you see if you can find Amanda Crowe, because she lives down here. And of course, I wasn't old enough to really remember it. I remember bits and pieces, but I don't remember the specifics, but I was told the story over and over again. When we were down there, I think Mom said, well, why don't you see if you can find Amanda Crowe, because she lives here. And it's like, well, how are we going to do that? And it's like, well, let's just ask. So they went into McDonald's that was down there. We had got some food there to begin with. But they went in and asked somebody behind the counter. They said, excuse me, it's a strange question, but there's a lady called Amanda Crowe that does wood carvings, and she's supposed to live down here. Would you happen to know where she lives? And they asked, it was a lady behind the counter, and she goes, yeah, I think I do. Hold on. And I can't remember the name, but she yelled back behind into the kitchen. And this young lady, probably in her early 20s, came out. And I said, these people are looking for Amanda Crowe. Isn't that your grandmother? And she goes, yes. Why are you looking for her? And Dad's jaw hit the ground, and Mom's jaw hit the ground. And they're like, oh, well, my husband here does wood carvings that she puts out, and they'd like to meet her and see if they could talk to her. And the woman goes, or the young lady goes, oh yeah, you go down the road here and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they gave her directions straight to Amanda Crowe's place. And Mom and Dad come out of the McDonald's and their mouths are still like hanging open. And they said, Amanda Crowe lives down the road here. You go down here, turn right, blah, 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 whatever. And everybody's like, no. And so, jumped into cars and we zinged down the road and came upon this house. And we all pulled in and everybody got out, and there was this Native American lady. I think she was walking from one building to the next. And she came over because there's two strange cars pulling in your driveway, and she's like, can I help you? And Dad's like, yeah, we're looking for Amanda Crowe. And she said, I'm Amanda Crowe. Well, apparently for the next 3 or 4 hours, everybody got a lesson in wood carving from Amanda Crowe. And I wish I'd have been older, to appreciate what happened. But they were standing there, and from what Mom and Dad said, and everybody who was there, said she was really tickled that somebody actually came down there and looked for her to ask her about wood carving. But, I'm glad that I was there. I am sorry I can't remember speaking to her if I did at all. But at least I have the privilege of talking to two people that spoke with Amanda Crowe about wood carving. But anyway, after that long-winded speech, this is one of the patterns that she put out. And I'd imagine that this was either too darn hard to mess with, or the grain was bad. And that's why it ended up being chucked into the, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to finish this pile. But this is an Amanda Crowe piece here. And I don't see any more Amanda Crowe style. That was one of this might be an Amanda Crowe too. I'm not certain. I don't know why this is in here. Let's get the brush of destiny out. Yes, kitty cat, why are you in here? Well, for some reason, this one got chucked in here. I'm not sure if this is an Amanda Crowe or not. It's stylized like Amanda Crowe would do. But anyway, I don't know why this one's in here and it's not marked, which aggravates me. This is not going to be stuck in this pile. But Amanda Crowe did stylized carvings. And I have some more of them. Maybe I can find them and put some pictures up here. But she also did an owl, and that's the owl I was thinking about, if I could draw something up like that. This one really shouldn't even been in here too. Why is it in here? Okay, anyhow, these are in here because these aren't wood, these are plastic. See, most wood doesn't have a bunghole. These were little guys. I remember doing a bunch of these. Pap come up with this idea from somewhere, these little miniaturized billy goats. They're just cute. This could be done in stone. And, that's a good prospect for doing something out of stone. And these turtles, he even got the pattern down on the bottom of the shell, but I don't know why it wasn't finished. There's always a reason stuff was thrown in here. Okay, and here was a horse. This bunny rabbit, I remember the book that they got these bunny rabbits out of. So there was something definitely wrong with this wood that Pap threw it in there, or else he just got ticked off, which happens quite a bit. And the wood spirits. Looks more like Lurch than a wood spirit. I actually kind of like this guy. Maybe I'll finish him up. Oh, okay. I know why this guy got thrown in there. He's been down at the pub too much. And I know exactly why these little figurines, there was a duo, a lady and a man, a hillbilly lady and man, and I know why this one got thrown in there, because her face fell off. That straight line right there? Yeah. That's called boop. Face plops off and she gets thrown into the gotta chuck it bin. Now this guy, I can see why this got thrown in there too. As a taxidermist, I can see that this should not be caved in like that. So this whole piece just went to heck in a handbasket pretty quick. It's a shame because that was done, nearly finished. This should just be filled out the rest of the way there. It's a shame. That's a beautiful piece of poplar too. And I don't think either of them did this one either, because this is definitely not their style of carving. The mice! Here's the pattern. This is an Amanda Crowe, I'm almost certain. But this pattern is of a little mouse. And it's about this wide. And that little tail comes out the middle. It's just a tiny little piece. It's easy to carve. But this is the, and these, wow, that one, oh, okay. These wings are flapped up and coming back down, so that wing would continue down this way like that. Okay, can you see that? I hope so. You know, then you have an eyeball. Woohoo! My grandpap did a lot of these. Dad didn't get into them too much. These were just like flat carvings. You did one side, and these, you do like 4 or 5 of these ducks, and they would be up against the wall. But, oh yeah, that's something I did. My great artistic talent at 10 years old, or less. Okay, that's about all that's in the, oh yeah, here's a pattern for a decoy. Man, that's a horrid looking duck. Yeah, that belongs in there. But okay, I thought I had to show this to you. And okay, this video is probably getting a little bit long now, so I might cut this short. Just make this into a, here's stuff from my grandpap and my dad's video. I'll do a complete video just with the owl or whatever I decide to make the eyes for. So if you like this video, hit that button, subscribe, and I like to put out content like this. This one went completely different than I wanted it to, but I'm sort of glad it did. So thanks for spending some time with me, and have a good evening. Amanda Crowe stuff. Hee hee.